Welcome in, Patrick Allen, Matt Verderame here. We've got a couple of really special guests we're excited to have on the podcast today. We have Gracie Hunt, daughter of Kansas City Chiefs. He's the chairman, right, Gracie? Is that his official title now? Yeah, chairman of the Kansas City Chiefs, Clark Hunt. And we've also got Renee Manfredi from Special Olympics. You guys are working together to promote Special Olympics. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Doing so good. Excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. This is really exciting for us. Fansided, we're partnered with Special Olympics as well. We've got a great vertical on fansided.com called Why We Play that puts a focus on Special Olympics athletes. We've been working on it for about a year now. We're really excited, and we're going to be volunteering down at Special Olympics in Orlando in June. So we're really excited to that. Maybe I don't know if you guys will be there. Maybe we'll get to see you in person.
That'd be
I
fun.
will definitely be there.
Awesome. Okay. All right. We're gonna have to meet up. So, Gracie, now I didn't know this about you until recently when we were preparing for this interview. But in high school, you were a unified player on the Special Olympics MLS team. I read on your Instagram that last October you said it really impacted your life. Could you explain a little bit about what it means to be a unified player for people who might not know and how that experience impacted you?
Absolutely. Being a unified player was one of the greatest experiences, and I did not know what to anticipate going into that. I had never worked with people who have special needs before, but it really taught me that no matter what you face in life, you can overcome it and achieve whatever goal or dream you have for yourself. And a unified team is a sports team that's a blend of people who have disabilities and those who do not, just to promote the inclusive nature and unifying force of sports. So I played on that team for a couple of years and then got into sideline reporting for Special Olympics matches. And just the rest is history. I've been able to lobby on Capitol Hill on behalf of Special Olympics and do so much with the organization. And it's just such a pleasure to get to be here with Miss Renee and promote it so more people can become aware and involved.
You know, Gracie, in 2018, you started doing some sideline reporting at those unified matches. And I'm curious for you, what was that experience like? Having grown up around professional sports, obviously your family's so involved for generations. Have you ever considered pursuing some kind of career in sports broadcasting?
I absolutely have considered it. One of my degrees is in journalism, and I worked in my college's journalism department, did a lot of our on-camera stuff and a lot on the writing side as well. And it's definitely a passion of mine, so I wouldn't rule it out for the future.
What would you be interested in doing? Sideline reporting, in studio analysis? I think I also read in an article that did you say that you were interested in maybe becoming the first female commissioner of the NFL?
That is correct. I'm getting my master's in sport management right now. And it's funny because I would love to steal Miss Kay Adams' job and host Good Morning Football. But my issue with this is I have such a non-biased perspective of all of the teams, and I just only have one favorite. So it's really would be a difficult thing for me to sort of put that bias aside, but it's definitely something I love. Maybe I could do it in a different sport where I was a little more neutral on how I felt about it and could really just focus on the game.
As a couple of big Chiefs fans, we know how you feel. Yep. So, Renee, I wanted to ask you. We found out you were going to be on the call. Did a quick bit of research on you. Now, you've been in Special Olympics for 14 years, I think I read, and you participated in soccer, which I think Gracie you also played, basketball, swimming, and softball. Did you have a favorite event that you like competing in the most?
Yes, thank you for asking. I actually enjoy swimming. I've loved to swim ever since I learned how to swim when I was 5 years old. And as a proud Navy child, we always lived in places that had water. And so there was always an opportunity to swim. And we recently moved from Hawaii, so I got to swim every single day. And I recently learned how to do stand-up paddleboard before we moved. And that's a really great exercise and just a fun activity. So yes, swimming would be my favorite.
How would you say, Renee, that Special Olympics has impacted your life?
I would say Special Olympics has changed my life in ways that I never saw coming. When we moved to Hawaii, I had graduated from high school and I didn't necessarily qualify for home and community-based services. And Special Olympics was like the only game in town. So I was hesitant about going because my school years were rough. No one really wanted me around. So I didn't know what that would be like. But when I joined, it was like walking through a door into a world full of possibility and opportunity. I was actually welcomed just as I was and accepted. That's been the biggest impact for me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. And we've heard a lot of similar stories like that. I also read on your Special Olympics page that when you were growing up, you had a lot of hardships to deal with. People didn't understand your disabilities, didn't accept you for who you were. What would you say to somebody else out there? I mean, this is a great platform. We have a lot of people who listen to this show. So, what would you say to someone who might be out there that might be listening, who might be going through something similar, that can see the success that you've had and what you've overcome?
I would definitely tell them, don't lose hope and don't lose faith. The road may seem long, hard, rough. Maybe you'd want to quit at some point, but in the end, it's all worth it. Special Olympics is just, I can't even begin to describe. It's amazing. Trust me when I tell you, the end is just the beginning.
That's wonderful advice. Now, I think some of the things you mentioned too, obviously, are what's so wonderful about sports, that people can work together. They can learn to overcome adversity, learn about themselves. Obviously with the Kansas City Chiefs, Gracie, having grown up in, you all are Chiefs royalty to the fans, and growing up in the Chiefs kingdom, we know how special Chiefs fans are. What would you say is it about the Chiefs fan base and the kingdom that makes them unique to NFL fan bases?
I think that overall, the Chiefs Kingdom fan base is the most similar to a college game day atmosphere that you'll find in the NFL. And with that comes deep-rooted loyalty, and it's almost like a family. When you wear red, I automatically know you're my friend. It just is like, okay, we have this in common. It breaks that barrier, and we have something to talk about. But with Chiefs fans, not only does Kansas City have the best barbecue in the United States, it always also has the sweetest people. I mean, we have big hearts in Kansas City, and I think that's just something that's unique to that market. And it's been such a fun thing for me to get to grow up and just going tailgating with my dad and having him and I, try all the fun food and hang out with fans pregame. Those are memories that I'll cherish forever, just because the people are what make it what it is.
I'm curious because your family has such not only longstanding ties with the Chiefs, but obviously your grandfather Lamar created the American Football League. He's emblazoned, his initials are emblazoned on the logo that's on the uniform. And in 2019, after 50 years, the Chiefs finally got the Lamar Hunt Trophy and brought it home. And I've heard your dad speak on it. And I'm just curious from your perspective. I'm sure winning the Super Bowl, it's the ultimate achievement in the NFL, but to win that trophy, considering how personal it is to your family, what was that like?
I can't really explain to you the feeling, because I would like to call it pure joy. And I think that that's probably the closest thing, because as you all can probably relate, when you win a football game, especially when it's not one where you win by 5 touchdowns, I think relief is the primary feeling you experience, but you're super happy too. But when you win the Super Bowl, it's not relief, oh, we get to move on. It's pure joy and getting to celebrate it with your entire family, everyone who you've watched work towards that, every person in our organization. And it was that collective joy that we all experienced that made it what I would argue to be the happiest day of all of our lives. I'm not sure what could top that, because you're just sharing it with so many people and getting to watch my dad and my grandmother hold that trophy up, just seeing how hard he works and how much he sacrifices meant the world.
I bet. I know it was even for Chiefs fans, to know that the team had never brought home the Lamar Hunt Trophy. I know we all really wanted to see it, and it was really exciting to see Clark get to bang the drum that day and to finally get to lift that trophy. It was super exciting. In all your time being in and around the team and in the facilities and stuff, do you have like a few favorite, ex-Chiefs that when you look back on were really fun or that you really looked up to and enjoyed?
Oh, absolutely. Growing up, you have the ones who you just end up crossing paths with more, and you definitely look up to them. I know Dustin Colquitt was one who he got to watch all of us grow up, me and my siblings. So saying goodbye to him was really, really hard when that time came. And so it's definitely a bittersweet thing because the relationships transcend whether or not you're on the team, but it's always like hard when you have to, move into a new chapter of what the team is and draft new guys. And then it's crazy, but I'm very thankful for the family culture that exists at Arrowhead.
So speaking of Arrowhead, it got remodeled in 2010. It went under, a little bit of a facelift and a renovation. The owner's suite might be nicer than most houses I've ever seen. And I've got to ask, A, how much do you guys enjoy that suite? And B, what is your favorite feature of it?
It's a special one. And I really there's a section of it that has a lot of the antique games that my grandfather collected. His nickname was Games. And I know growing up, we kind of used and abused those antique games. So they're a little beat up, but it's sweet because they always remind us of him and his love for sports and games. Favorite feature. Yeah, I think that's probably the favorite feature. Growing up, I would say Shirley Temples, because Tavian Clark would not let us have them, but you could get them in the suite at Arrowhead. So we look forward to the Shirley Temples.
Got it. Now, Gracie, I know both you and Renee are really into living a healthy lifestyle. I know you talked a lot about it in your pageant competitions, how important it was and how you wanted to inspire people to, live a clean lifestyle, eat well, exercise, take care of themselves. And Renee, you're Special Olympics health messenger. So I'd be interested from hearing from both of you what living a healthy lifestyle means to you and how you go about that. We can start with Renee.
Thank you so much. First of all, to me, as a health messenger, living a healthy lifestyle means that you're eating the right foods, fruits, vegetables, some protein, less salt, exercising every day, doing the best we can to stay fit, active. And I think the best exercise of all would be staying connected with your team. During the pandemic lockdown, that was hard on everybody. And so it was essential to make certain that we were connected even during this pandemic. And there's a healthy athletes discipline called Strong Minds that was just started. That was just a way for athletes to cope with the stress, the way things are now. They came up with breathing techniques, yoga stretches. I would definitely say that connecting is the best exercise, but that's the way I see a healthy lifestyle.
For me, I was born with celiac disease. And when I was born, you look everywhere now and there's gluten-free this, gluten-free that, and substitutes galore. That wasn't the case when I was young, and doctors weren't as aware of that and what to look for. So I suffered for many years being sick and not knowing why. And in the ER on morphine, couldn't consume things or breathe because I was that sensitive to it. So eventually I was able to be diagnosed, and before that, my parents were trying to figure it out, but they couldn't figure out why I despised birthday cakes and every Italian restaurant. They were like, a whole restaurant cannot make you sick. And I was like, oh, it does. And they were like, okay, well, we just want a birthday cake in the Italian restaurant. And I was like, no. So I developed an aversion to a lot of things that have gluten in it, and decided that when I was diagnosed, I was just going to say goodbye to all of it. And so from the time that I was probably in young middle school, I just gave up everything, went completely cold turkey. And so I would say that my whole life I've been pretty paleo based in how I eat lots of fruits and vegetables, healthy proteins. And from that, I really developed a passion to want to help other people, because I have experienced that and lived that, and it's miserable, and I didn't want other people to. So I got my nutrition accreditation, and sort of that in tandem with me growing up playing soccer and wanting to play in college. And then it turning into a passion for running and training and so much more than that. So it's been fun to get to sort of take this new journey that I would have never envisioned going on, but I'm just glad to be able to help people.
Well, thank you.
You got one more?
No, I think, I don't know if we have the time, but if we do, I guess I would just ask for, real quick for both of you, just the Special Olympics here as it continues to grow in popularity and it grows in importance. I think, you both obviously have such great connections, Renee being involved for over a decade and a half and Gracie being involved in a multitude of ways. And heck, there's even a Chiefs tie-in. I mean, Jamal Charles was in the Special Olympics, right? I mean, he maybe is the most famous athlete to ever come out of it in a lot of ways. And he's been an ambassador for it. How do you hope that it, for both of you, how do you hope that it grows going forward, both in terms of the games themselves, but also in the scope that people view them?
I would definitely like to see the mission of inclusive health move forward. There are a lot of health disparities that individuals with IDD face. I'll share one with you, one that I think is the scariest. An individual with IDD can die 16 years earlier than a person without IDD without the quality health care. And that is something that I'm trying to change. So I'm definitely hoping to see inclusive health going forward. That's what I'd like to see. And as well as the whole entire program.
For me, I think that inclusive health is so important. And to break down what that means, it's educating doctors on what to look for when someone who has IDD comes in to be treated. And it's not blanketing their disability as part of a health condition that's completely separate, because that is what contributes to a shortened lifespan and also being 6 times more susceptible to diseases like COVID than people who don't have IDD. So that's a huge thing that really needs to be focused on, because everyone should have access to quality healthcare. But aside from that, I think that the inclusion revolution is so important in society today, because in so many ways we are more divided than ever. But sports, as we all know, from whether it's cheering on the Chiefs sidelines or participating in Special Olympics, brings you together despite what you believe, where you come from, or even your level of ability. And so I'd love to see it expand into schools. I'd love to see increased federal funding, which Capitol Hill Day is actually going on right now. So I hope that that's getting the ball rolling to get some things done there. But there's a lot of work to be done, and more of the world needs Special Olympics for sure.
Absolutely. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on, hopping on our platform. It's great. We're thrilled to be able to be working with Special Olympics to help get the word out and the things that you have to say and your experiences to a larger audience. And of course, the Chiefs Kingdom, who's they're a little down right now for obvious reasons, but it was still a really exciting season. And I think brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. Gracie, do you think you're going to get that chip back next year and win the Super Bowl again? I
definitely have a lot of faith in Coach Reed, Patrick, and the team as a whole. I know Patrick's really competitive, and I don't know if you saw this tweet, but he was quoted saying, I don't think it's something you really get over until you find yourself in a new Super Bowl, more or less is what the quote said. And I think that that's how my family feels too, and how most of Chiefs Kingdom feels, because it's something that's, you work so hard to get to that point. But the good news is that the future is bright, and it was a wonderful season. So looking forward to great things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, for Matt and I and the whole Arrowhead Addict team. We appreciate it. So wonderful to meet you, Renee and Gracie. Have a wonderful spring and summer, and maybe we'll see you down in Orlando at Special Olympics.
We look forward to it. It was so nice to meet you guys too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Take care.